What's up everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on yesterday's episode of Teen Mom 2. The season's almost over, but if you still want to catch up on everything that's been happening, I've got the link to the VPN service that I use. It is an affiliate link, by the way, and they're running a promo right now. If you buy 1 year in advance, you get 3 months free. Anyway, jumping right in, we find out that Chelsea is having a baby girl. Brianna then plans her Nova's 9th birthday party and talks about the fight that she had with Devoin last episode, and she claims that Devoin reached out afterwards to apologize, which I think is great, but she still does harbor resentment about him playing broke with her but rich on the gram. So the producers show all the designer stuff that he's been flossing online, Gucci shoes, a Burberry like jacket or whatever it is, and I agree with her. Whether his shoes are Gucci or Gucci and his shirt is Burberry or Blueberry, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he is playing rich on the gram, and that is annoying when he is not financially contributing to his daughter. Over in Dover, Kail gives us an update on her son Creed. Apparently he doesn't sleep and he's tongue-tied, so it's very hard for him to breastfeed. Then she talks about how Chris bought him a box of diapers when he was born, but that's about it. He hasn't really been contacting her about Creed ever since, and I'm sure the PFA doesn't help. Remember, she's got an active PFA against him, so he can't really be communicating with her anyway. And she says that Creed came out not breathing, and of course Chris was terrified. She's like, oh my god, he wasn't breathing. We were all panicking. The closest hospital was 45 minutes away, and I thought it was really important for her to mention that because it helps people who are inspired by her home birth to understand the potential consequences of this. Like, you might be gambling with your child's life to have a home birth, because what would have happened if the midwife could not have helped her with this? She's not a doctor at the end of the day. And that is terrifying, to carry a baby for that long and potentially lose it because you did not want to go to a hospital, which you are lucky enough to have in a very developed country. Kail talking about her custody situation with Chris was so ghetto, y'all. She's like, Chris has no custody of either kid. He only has supervised visitation with Lux, and he can only contact me in writing about any of the kids, but he doesn't even do that. It's like, how do you get knocked up 2 times by a deadbeat who has supervised visitation over your first kid? It's like, how did this even work logistically? My box would be too dry to allow this. She knows what I deserve, okay? She tells the producer that she doesn't want Chris in Creed's life, but unfortunately that is not the way life works, deadbeat or not. Chris does have the right to see his children even if he is a deadbeat. And you know, at the end of the day, the best way to prevent this is to stop sleeping with deadbeat men, right? You know, or if you do choose to sleep with someone like that again, maybe you can discover the wonders of condoms, birth control, Plan B, literally anything. Meanwhile, in Indiana, Sean refuses to get his daughter the banana she wants until he's finished folding his giant pile of laundry. Then he and Jade manhandle the child before Jade calls her mom to ask her how Chloe was when she watched her. I wonder if her mom even remembers what Chloe was like, right? Because I'm pretty sure she's high half the time, allegedly, of course. Christy tells Jade that Chloe is pretty sweet when it starts out, but then she becomes hell on wheels, and then like the daughter is just, you know, like running around the house or whatever, and then Jade and Sean are just screaming at her, manhandling her. I think Jade at one point said, oh my god, this effing kid is driving me nuts, like in front of the kid while she was on the phone. I was like, this poor girl is just so frustrated because no one talks to her gently, like, you know, the kid that she is. They talk to her like she's some annoying like 20-year-old or something like that, and I'm sure she's quite frustrated. To me, it kind of looked like 2 Amber Portwoods trying to handle a child. Then in West Virginia, Leah and her kids talk about how you know, they're not going to go back to like regular school as they all assume. They're all going to be e-learning. Honestly, you guys, every single episode this season, it feels like Leah is trying really hard to lecture me, so I kind of like tune her out these days, and this episode was no different. She delivered so many monologues that I was like, all right girl, I get it. Down south in South Dakota, Chelsea and Cole take us to see their house, and it is very interesting looking. Then they talk about schooling. Chelsea wants Aubrey to go back to in-person school because her grades have been slipping ever since, you know, the online thing. And then she's also ready to ship Watson off to pre-K a little bit early, but Cole doesn't want to. And I can understand why. This is Cole's first child of his own, so he is having the same difficulties that Chelsea was having with Aubrey as a first-time parent as well. I thought it was very sweet, like his attachment to Watson, and like him talking about how, oh my god, when Watson had to like get like the surgery or whatever, I was a wreck. And it's like, you know what, this is probably what Chelsea wanted Adam to be like when they were having Aubrey, so it is nice that like she finally gets that out of like, you know, the father of her kid. It's like, yes, this guy actually loves our kid. You want that for your kid, right? Meanwhile, in Middleton, we get to see Kail's older kids learning. She was so snappy with Isaac. I don't know if it's because she's not getting enough sleep now that Creed's here or what, but I kind of was like, damn, like Isaac is such a nice kid. He was just trying to get his assignment done. Isaac then interviews Lincoln about how he feels about e-learning, and Lincoln doesn't like it. He's a very social kid, so he's like, I'm not gonna make friends online. I don't like it. Kail puts Creed to bed and talks to her nanny about his sleeping issues. Apparently both kids that she had with Chris are tongue-tied. Remember, Creed is having a hard time latching because he's tongue-tied, so he's not getting to eat as much or drink as much, we'll say, because he's a baby. And he's also got acid reflux, which makes it even worse. So this poor baby must be starving. His throat hurts from the acid reflux. He's starving. Like, oh my God, I feel really bad for him, the poor thing. Down south in Florida, Brianna rents a big house to throw her daughter Nova a giant TikTok super spreader party. Talk about reading the room. Devoin gets there with a skateboard as a gift to Nova and talks to Brianna's producer about apologizing to Brianna after the fight they had last week. And he also talks about setting everything aside to celebrate Nova's birthday and being open to talk to Brianna about finances at a later date. Then over in West Virginia, Leah's kids start e-learning, and of course, Addie is just really sassy all the way through, calling out Leah and Jeremy's lack of discipline left and right. Then we move over to Indiana, where Jade and her family go out for dinner to celebrate Chloe's birthday, and Jade's mom wants Chloe to go to preschool so Sean can start working or something like that, and he says that he wants to finish high school first. He doesn't want to work while he's studying, and Jade says that he can work and go to school. A revolutionary concept, right? It's like, dude, you're 20-something years old studying high school or a GED or whatever. You can balance working and doing that at the same time. A lot of us were studying for uni, you know, and working at the same time. So you could surely handle this. And this was as teenagers, right? Like you go into uni at 17, 18, 19 years old. Here you are, mid-20s, studying something for people who are like 16 years old. He, of course, starts whining about how he doesn't want to work while he's in school, of course, and acts like Jade controls his life. He's like, I want to have control of one thing over my life. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You play video games all day long. You have control over that. You're supposed to be a stay-at-home parent and you can't even do that. Jade is spending her money to send Chloe to daycare because you don't want to do anything around the house. Like, you've got control of that. So suck it up. Jade's mom had it right when she said that they had to stop fighting like this in public, especially at a 3-year-old birthday party, before they looked trashy AF, because they absolutely did. Unfortunately, it didn't sink in as Jade curses Sean out and tells him to go to hell in front of both the waiter and her 3-year-old daughter. Trashy indeed. Meanwhile, down south in Florida, Nova's about to blow out her birthday candle, and I just like face palmed. I was like, of course, bird ass Brianna couldn't at the very least refrain from having a candle on her daughter's cake at this super spreader party. Because what happens when she's blowing out, you see how many attempts she did to blow out that damn candle? She was blowing all over the cake, breathing all over it, probably spit droplets all over it. It's just, oh my God, recipe for disaster. Anyway, Petty Betty 2.0 and her mom leave the party. By the way, why is her mom there? Doesn't she have lupus or something? Coronavirus is going around. She's not masked. No one there is masked. She's a little bit older. She's a smoker. Anyway, so they have a really dumb convo about how Devoin's parents need to come around when Nova's sick, or it's time to parent her, or Brianna's going through hard times. I'm like, Brianna, you need to learn your boundaries. They are Nova's grandparents. It is perfectly fine for them to come around during holidays and birthdays and things like that. They are not responsible for parenting your daughter. I don't know where you got that idea. Just because you want to live with your mom for the rest of your life doesn't mean that they need to move in right alongside all of you guys and help you raise your daughter. That's your job that you signed up for. And again, it's very funny how all of a sudden that isn't good enough when at the beginning of the season, this is exactly what you wanted, for them to come around at holidays and birthdays. Now here they are doing that, and that is a problem too. Admit it, you just want to be miserable at the end of the day. That's all it is. You're miserable. You're Petty Betty 2.0. She can't even celebrate the fact that her dad is there. I really love that Devoin's like, oh my God, like I could never miss my daughter's birthday, and have her like looking over her shoulder all birthday, wondering whether or not I'm gonna show up. Her other daughter can't say the same for her dad, and this chick is still miserable. Anyway, Chelsea wins the battle to send Watson to preschool, and Cole, of course, cries, dropping him off. Again, very sweet. Then we move on over to Middletown, where Kail takes Creed to get his tongue tie clipped. But then she finds out that he's not actually tongue-tied, despite the midwife and the pediatrician telling her that she was. So she calls up a friend and she's screaming about it. And I'm like, isn't this a good thing that your son doesn't have this like medical condition? I didn't understand why she was so like screamy about it. I don't know. Meanwhile, back in Indiana for the final scene of the episode, it's Jade still screaming outside of that damn restaurant, you guys, the ghetto. She says that Sean is lazy as F. I laughed so hard when her mom was like, no, like maybe he does need to just focus on school and he can't like work at the same time. Like and Jade's like, I did it. She's like, not everyone's as smart as you and I. I was like, thank God the rest of us are not as smart as you guys. Like the society needs to function at a little bit of a higher level than that. I'm sorry. And then Jade cries about, you know, how she's always working her butt off for this lazy ass bum to mooch off of her. And he's constantly like putting her down, talking crap about her weight. And, you know, my heart really does go out to her because this relationship is nothing short of toxic, you guys. She really should have cut him loose a long time ago, but the second best time is right now, you know, and that's actually what she says. She says that she's done and she wants him out of her house at this point. And I truly, genuinely hope that she sticks to that claim, but we're gonna have to see in the future. Actually, no, spoiler alert, they're still together, still living together. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of what went down on last night's episode of Teen Mom 2, but as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything, so please make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.